Hi there, Sandra here from createinspain. I decided that I wanted to do some t-shirts for family at Christmas time, and so I'm doing a little bit of pre-planning because I know if I leave it closer to the time, either it won't get done or I won't be able to get what I need. I've got some really old, and I'm talking 30-year-old transfer paper for t-shirts. And I used that recently, put it on an old t-shirt of mine. Haven't washed it yet, but it seemed to work just fine. But this is the kind of stuff that you print on, you turn it upside down and the image transfers. I was looking online and I came across Siser Easy Color Printable Vinyl. What I couldn't do here, being as I'm in Spain, is I couldn't find anywhere to buy the stuff, which is ridiculous. I've emailed a couple of places and getting nowhere. So I decided I would have another look on Amazon and see if there was something else that I could use. What I ended up finding is this stuff here. Now, the company make several different types. I got it on Amazon. They do have a website. It's transourdream.com or something like that. Pretty easy to find. But I bought this from Amazon. Now, what I wanted to work out was whether it was possible to find a printable vinyl. And as far as I can tell, this is a printable vinyl. Printable with a normal domestic inkjet printer, which does not have special ink in it. I happen to have an ink tank, an eco tank printer, so it makes it very economical for me to do prints. But the last thing I wanted to do was buy another printer so that I had to use a special ink and etc. Sublimation and stuff is just not for me. So I found this image of a cat, which I loved, and it was on Pixabay, so I downloaded that. It was in a PNG format. I was able to have it with a transparent background, which is really useful. And I put it onto my iPad to do a bit of image manipulation because all this furry blanket stuff and the text and the outline and stuff I put on myself. Now, according to the instructions on the transfer vinyl, you have to print it as normal paper, best quality. That's what I did. Unfortunately, I've left my iPad downstairs, so I can't show you the image at the moment, but I will show you how I created this if you're interested. And the colours have come out exactly as I would expect, and they are nice and vibrant. They've come out really well. And I did, apart from spraying it on my mat, I did tape it down. Now, if you're going to tape the stuff down, be very careful. I knew I was okay because I've got plenty of space around these, but if you put tape down and pull it up in the wrong way, it will take the vinyl off, all right? So be careful. This end here, I had already peeled the vinyl back from just to see how thick it was. So that's why I got that bit taped down. So now what I'm going to do, hopefully, is weave this. It's still slightly undercut, perhaps. I was very wary that I did not want to overcut this. It's not sticky when you peel it up, so at least that makes it easy to control when you do peel it off. And this is one of those that you put face up onto your design. So you literally just pick this stuff up and put it onto your t-shirt or whatever it is you're using. I've got a keep fit top, sort of a baggy sort of t-shirt thing that I'm going to put it on, which is actually synthetic, but you can put this on cotton or synthetics. There we go. So that's the weeding done. That was nice and easy. And can you just pick this up? If I pick it up gently, yeah, it just comes off of the backing. Now, does it curl is the question. No, it doesn't. It lies flat. Excellent. Don't even need transfer paper for this. Now, it comes with what they call a silicone sheet, which looks exactly like baking paper to me. So what you do is you pick this up, you put it on your garment, you put this over the top and you iron it on. So I will be doing that later on, but I just wanted to see how well this had come up. And as far as I'm concerned, this is great. And it is a vinyl. There is no doubt about it. That is a vinyl. The cheapy one I got here, I think is also a vinyl. It's just that it's done in the reverse way. Now the thing I like about this is obviously what you've got here is what you're going to get on your t-shirt. It's not transferring the ink upside down, as it were. That's the ink there. So it shouldn't create any different an image to what it's actually got there. So I'm going to put these to one side and I'm going to show you how I cope with this on my iPad, because this is so easy to do on an iPad if you've got images that you want to use that are not exactly as you need them. So easy to manipulate them. So I'll show you how to do that, and I will show you what I did on my laptop. Okay, so I have my iPad here and I'm using Procreate. This here is the image that I got from Pixabay, and it's not in the size or proportion that I want it. So what I'm going to do is to click on the plus button, and I want an A4 canvas. My canvases are set up to be 300 dpi for printing purposes. So there's my canvas. I go to the wrench and, no, actually, sorry, I need to go back to the gallery, pick up this one, go to the wrench and click on the add, and it copies there. Go back to my gallery, pick up the file that I just opened, whoops, come in here and do a paste. So that is my picture. Now you can do whatever you like with this afterwards. This is in a layer of its own, so if I put another layer on, if I work on this layer, I just want to resize it a bit because it's a bit too big, since I want to put some kind of outline on it. Okay, so come back in here and work on another layer. Now if I put this layer by dragging underneath the cat, whatever I do will go behind it. So for example, I want bright pink and I want to have a line. Okay, trace line is fine. So if I start putting a line around here, and I'm not going to take any care of this because I don't need it, it's just for demonstration purposes. Whoops, catch that bit of fur in there, like so. Okay, and I fill that with colour. Just fill that bit in there where I had it. You can see that is actually behind the cat. All right. Now, you can add text if you wish. If you want to add text, then you tap on the wrench and you go to add text down there. Text box comes up, you put your text in, you make it whatever font you want, and it'll be on its own layer, so you can have it wherever it is that you want it. If you want to do, for example, a shape such as a rectangle, you can use whatever brush you're using. You can draw a very rough shape like that, close it up, hold it, and up here you'll get a menu and you can make it into a rectangle. And now you can take these points and you can adjust it so that it's as you want it. There we go. And if you want to, you can fill that in with colour, and you can put that on the same layer, a different layer, it's up to you. I tend to try and use different layers for pretty much everything, okay? Now I'm going to take this away because what I want to show you is this layer here, okay? I'm going to delete this layer, but that will be a cutout shape in its own right. It will be a PNG. You can remove the background colour on here. I've got a white background, but you can have a transparent background, like so. And now if you export that layer, you go to your wrench here and you go to share. You can export it as a PNG, put it into your cutter software, and it will be able to trace it nice and easily. If you put it into Shortcut Slot, you can just open it as if it was an SVG. Don't even have to trace it if you put it into Shortcut Slot. So that's one way of doing it. But what if you wanted, if you had a more complicated shape and you wanted to literally just cut around the shape? I'm just going to switch this layer off so you can't see it. Tap on this layer, put another layer on, and tap on that layer and put a clipping mask on. And what you want to do is just drag your colour over the area. And you see, you will get the entire shape ready for you to trace. Now I say ready to trace because this has obviously got lots of ziggy-zaggy lines, all right? And there would be an awful lot of nodes in that. What I would do, I would import that into Shortcut Slot and do a path simplify, and then it'll go, and within one click, I've got rid of a lot of nodes. And if I want to get rid of more, I do it again until I've got what I consider to be a reasonable number of nodes while still retaining the shape. So that's what I did. I did my trace, or at least I put it into Shortcut Slot, and I got the outside line. And I did simplify it to get a better shape, just because it makes it so much easier for your cutting machine if it doesn't have too many nodes in it. Okay, so you can see my images here on the screen, and this is what they looked like when they were on the mat. You can see on this one here, you can see the cut line, because I gave this one a white border, so you can see the cut line around the outside edge. This one having a black border, you can't see the cut line, but it is there. So I printed my images off and I put them to my scan and cut, and I scanned so that it would come into Canvas. Now if you click on the scan section on the screen on your machine, you get different scanning options, and then if you scroll to the right, you get the one that says scan to canvas, basically. And then at the top on here, you go file, import from your cutting machine, and you import the scanned image rather than an FCM file, because there isn't an FCM file, it's a scanned image that you're doing. So this is what my sheet looked like when I put my images on there. So if we go to my layers, you can see that I have some shapes. I don't know where that one is. Where's that one? Oh, it's on there. Okay, let's get rid of that one. You can see that I've got my two cut lines here, and I've got my image. Now you need to make sure when you're doing this that you put your image on the bottom and your cut lines on the top, because otherwise you won't be able to see where your cut lines are. And that would be a little bit awkward. Now, in the case of my cut lines, that's my image. Hang on, let's just pick up one of the shapes. I'm going to move it to one side for the moment. Okay, right. When I originally scanned it and I put my cut lines on, they didn't seem to quite fit the shapes. There was a difference in what had been scanned and a difference in the file. Now, I believe this is because the Shortcut Slot works on a very slightly different DPI to Canvas. I'm not absolutely certain about this, but I have my suspicions. For various reasons, which I won't go into, I have my suspicions. Now, Canvas and Shortcut Slot are supposed to use 96 DPI. Now, Shortcut Slot definitely uses 96 DPI. I have a sneaking feeling that Canvas does not quite. And I think they've probably done it deliberately. But that's my theory. Anyway, the lines didn't quite match up. So there was an easy way of doing this. If I just make that invisible for a moment, all I did was I got a rectangle and I lined it up with the left where I believed it should be, which will probably be about there, and probably go to there, because I know there's the a bit trickier with this one because I know there's a white border on it, and there. Okay, and then I went to, which bit is it? I always get confused as to which one it is. Okay, it's that one. Always the last one I go for. And I looked at the box and I jotted down the measurements. And then all I did, when I had my Go back to my layers. When I had my shape, I went to this and I changed the measurements so that it was the same. So then I just send the file to my cutter, put it on half cut, and that was it. Job done. It isn't difficult to do. There are a few steps to do, but the results I think are worth it. Right, I've got a t-shirt here which happens to be mostly polyester and it's got about 35% cotton, and I've decided I want to use this top design, the one that I haven't already peeled off, to put on that one. I knew I was going to put it on a t-shirt that I was wearing for the gym, so that is the reason for that particular message on the front. So here's my design. Think about, probably needs to go roughly there, just thinking. Yeah, I think that is probably the right place. I'm used to doing this more on round necks rather than V-necks. I may not have my positioning exactly as I should. Now obviously on this one it shows up that I haven't got my cut line in exactly the right place. In future I will probably put a little bit more of a border, or I will shrink the cut line down a bit, but I don't mind too much. And Teddy's got his opinion as well. Now on camera, for some reason around here we've got spots. I have no idea why. It's nothing, there's nothing on the t-shirt. No idea. But there we go. So put my piece of parchment or silicone paper over, and it says to iron it on a hot iron for 5 minutes. I've got it on the hottest temperature that it will go, and it does say to put pressure on it. So this is the result of this particular t-shirt. Now this has gone definitely off colour. I think it's because I put my iron on too hot and it's actually burnt it. That's what I suspect. In fact, I ended up, I'd forgotten I had this thing, and I put it onto my iron after lowering the setting for a couple of minutes, and it was 2 settings too high. I had to put it on, I mean, I said to put it on hot iron, and I put it on linen, and thought that would be okay with the paper, but obviously not. So that one is a little bit off colour, but it is certainly on there. It feels like part of the shirt. It has a, as you can hear, a sort of plasticky feel to it. I'm not going to try stretching it because I don't want to ruin it. So I put the other one onto an old cotton t-shirt that I have worn quite a lot because I didn't have one that was pre-washed otherwise. This one I put on using the cotton setting on my iron, and that one seems to be fine, and the colours are as they should be. If you compare the colours of that one to the colour of this one, this has got pink instead of white now. But it's a workout shirt, so I'm not bothered about it. I needed to practice, and I'm glad I practiced on something that didn't matter first. So this one seems to have come out really, really well. It seems to be on there. I just need to see how well they wash. But as far as I can tell, there is no difference to this to any other kind of print on vinyl. And certainly where I am, if I look for printable vinyls, you just don't see any. They call it a transfer paper, even if it's vinyl. So there we are. That's been my project for today. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon.